All right. Well, good morning and welcome. This is Jason Martinez with Summit Alliance Advantage. We are on the Tuesday training. Make sure I got my sound going here. I believe got the sound going, got the recording going, and looks like we are finally good to go. Once again, I apologize. Thank you for your patience. But we're going to jump right into it. Today we're going to talk about building your book of business. It's so important in the insurance industry, to know how to do just that, get in front of clients. Brian Tracy says, keep your sales pipelines full by prospecting continuously. Always have more people to see than you have time to see them. Again, that can be very important, in your business, seeing your clients, getting in front of clients, directing them accordingly. But ultimately, you have to have the client to do that. And there's, numerous of ways that we can do that. But, ultimately, just some of the few ways that we're going to cover today, how do you get in front of clients? Real quick, rule number one, first, don't be a secret agent. We talk about that, you hear that, but that's so true. Agents get into the business and they get licensed and they do everything, that they need to become equipped to go out in the field. And someone asks them, what do you do? I'm life insurance. They just kind of mumble or whisper, instead of, well, what do you do for a living? Well, I change people's lives through the new kind of life insurance, or, just a different way of presenting that, and just being confident in what you do and not being a secret agent and actually getting out there and letting people know what you do. And also, as far as getting in front of clients, we're going to talk about some ways, just be observant. That's kind of one of the first steps. Identify potential. And that skill will grow as you grow in the business. And, we'll talk about these things. Keep good records. That's very important, in tracking your business, doing follow-ups, doing annual reviews, building that book of business, building on referrals. And, so again, keeping good records can just overall not only just help you keep your business in good order, but, help generate more clients for yourself. Setting prospecting goals. You have to, it all starts with the goal, right? It all starts with what you want to accomplish in this business. What do you want to reach, your destination, your goal for yourself, So you want to set goals in each and every aspect of your business. So prospecting is one of those. So set your prospecting goals. And again, that's going to put, those mile markers in place that you're going to reach for yourself. And, of course, referrals. Being in sales overall, you want to have referrals. You want to be proud of what you do. And, you want to spread that enthusiasm so people will want to refer people to you. If you're excited about what you do, if you're excited about, the business you're in, referrals will come, especially if you're asking for them. But, definitely, work the business, and referrals is definitely part of that. And also utilize leads. Don't be scared to invest in yourself. I've heard it said before, if you're afraid to invest in yourself, then who would be willing to? And, so utilize it, because they are an investment. It's not a cost. Some agents look at it as, an expense or a cost. And, and in reality, there's an ROI there. That's where you're going to, be profitable. And, ultimately, again, getting in front of clients, leads is a great way to do that. So talking about being observant, and just kind of as it reads here, the first prospecting habit you should form is to be observant. And, again, there's certain habits that you should have in this business. Being observant is a good one. Being lazy is not a good one. So again, develop good habits, good prospecting habits, and understand that suspects, people are all around. And, so it's important to learn how to keep your eyes, your ears open, be observant, take notice of these things, and more than just, looking around, see something in what you're looking at, do more than just listen, but hear, understand what your clients are saying, understand your clients as a whole, and, make notes of this. And this is really an important statement. Develop an alert, probing, and inquisitive attitude. Again, this is going to allow you to ask questions, a question that could open the door to a client you didn't even realize that you had right in front of you. So again, just by probing and just, inquiring about things, that's going to, allow you to open those doors that you may not have opened before. So, Pay attention to that, and that's real important. Develop that skill. You know, learning how to pay attention will become one of the single most important factors in your career. And you know, ultimately in sales, you know, just having that ability to really be patient and pay attention, and you know, understand what you're doing, break it down, you know, and like it says, you know, evaluate the people, the situations, you know, that you encounter on a daily basis. And again, that's going to allow you to generate more prospects, more clients. You know, and once you've developed this ability, you'll begin to notice people, you know, usually due to their changing situations, you know, whatever it may be. Someone who's, you know, just changed jobs, you know, there's potential there. Someone who's just had a child, there's potential there. You know, even different circumstances can unlock different potentials. And you know, the importance of prospecting and its contribution to your success cannot be overstated. You know, your goal is to develop qualified suspects who can be seen under favorable conditions, ultimately become prospects, right? You know, so in order to be successful, you must develop good prospecting habits. I know I say that, but again, it's very important. And being observant is one of those good prospecting habits. Also, learn to identify potential. You know, in any random group of people, you can almost be certain there's someone who's just experienced a change in their personal situation. You know, again, if you're observant, you're going to recognize these. You're going to be able to identify this. And, you know, like maybe a promotion at work or a new job or a new baby, you know, a new home, you know, a refinance, some type of financial change, you know, whatever it may be. Again, learn to identify that. You know, that occurrence makes that individual a better prospect for you. And as you begin to notice people, you know, you'll see that there are 5 general types of changing situations that make potential clients, you know, for us in this industry. You know, increased family responsibilities, you know, whether that be births, engagements, marriages, home purchases, real estate transactions, etc. You know, increased business responsibilities, you know, so owning a new business, businesses purchased or reorganized, you know, incorporation notices, new key people in a business, new partnerships, increase personal income. You know, again, I talked earlier, maybe a promotion, you know, maybe a new job, salary increase, inheritance, you know, winning of a lawsuits, you know, professional fees and things to that effect. You know, again, people are running into situations, you know, where income is being increased in one way or another. That's you know, potential. That's potential to put that client in a product that's going to, you know, better benefit them and their family's needs in the future. You know, and increased business income. You know, if their business is expanding, getting more contracts, you know, building permits being issued, whatever the case may be, prosperity in a particular industry. You know, also increased receptiveness to life insurance. You know, you'll notice that people's ears, you know, again, you've heard us say this before, but when is the last time someone's talked to you about life insurance? And, you know, it's probably been a while since, or if ever, that someone's actually approached you and talked to you about that. And once it's mentioned, when you think about it, when a situation happens, all of a sudden you become more receptive to that. And, you know, maybe you lose a loved one. You know, maybe you lose a friend, or maybe something, you know, just you maybe potentially almost lost your own life, you know, and had a narrow escape, as it says there. You know, again, or maybe an accident or something, maybe something occurred that made you realize, wait a minute, maybe I do need life insurance. You know, it's kind of like, you know, you get into a car wreck and it's like, oh man, now's the time to get auto insurance. Well, you know, good thing you had it before the car wreck, right? So, you know, but you were more receptive to that. You were more aware that you needed, you know, auto insurance before the wreck happened. So, you know, notice and be observant of those people who have those situations, because they are more aware. They are more aware that they need life insurance and they need that protection in their home, in their life. I mentioned earlier it's important to keep good records. You know, this is another habit that you'll want to form right from the start, is keeping an organized and up-to-date reservoir building file. Again, we're talking about building your book of business. We're talking about building your business pipeline, your production pipeline. You know, this file will become your system for making sure the names of qualified suspects you've gathered come to your attention, when it's most appropriate to contact them. So again, not only are you keeping records of clients that you've seen, but you're keeping records on potential prospects, suspects, if you will. Again, qualified suspects are individuals who you believe will appreciate the kind of work you do, the plans or products or services you offer, and an individual becomes a qualified suspect when you know the following information. And again, knowing their name, knowing, what they go by, the company they work for, their title, of course, their date of birth, if they're married or not, children and the age of their children, where they live, where their business is located, numbers to contact them, what their business is doing, if they have any insurance currently, benefits package. You can present different types of benefits packages, associations, motivations, what motivates them, what associations do they have, what present benefits package do they have at their employer. Again, something may have changed at their employer, and if you hear that, if you take notice of that, again, there's potential there. There's potential to talk to them about replacing the benefits that they lost because their benefits package changed at work, or maybe they were laid off, or whatever the case may be. But again, keeping good records is ultimately going to help you, build that book of business, help you follow up on your clients, give you people to see on a consistent basis, and just really help you break down your business to a point, to where you're always having someone to see, you're always having a client to take care of. You're always in a position where you have a client that needs your services. And again, keeping good records is very important when building your own book of business. I mentioned earlier you want to, set your prospecting goals. Setting prospecting goals is very important. Just as kind of a little bit of an example, and of course, by this point in your business, hopefully you set your production goals. You know what you want to reach, and how much money you need to earn on a monthly and annual basis. And again, working backwards, and starting with the end in mind, right? And and that you only make money when you've made a sale. And in order to meet your production goals, you have to set your prospecting goals, because where's the production going to come from without the prospects? And and you have to stick with it. It's very important, because this is where your business starts. Again, getting in front of clients. So, generally speaking, you should plan on starting out with a minimum of 200 qualified suspects, right? People, again, market yourself, brand yourself. Don't be a secret agent. Get in front of people, make this list, meet people, talk to people, and you should try to add 3 suspects a day to that list during your first 6 months. Now, after 6 months, you should plan on adding 2 new suspects a day, and once you have 250 clients, at least continue with that and add 1 per day. By doing this, you'll always have a reservoir of people to see, and you'll steadily build your client base. Now, you're thinking, wow, that's a lot. That seems like pretty big numbers, and how do I get to that? What are they based? Well, basically, this is on the assumption that you're doing 2 brand new presentations or interviews every day. You're marketing yourself. You're talking to new people every day. You want to do at least 10 for the week. Now, if you have 10 of those set up a week and you're keeping 80% of them, that means you're going to at least see 8 out of the 10. So out of the 8 out of 10, you should be at least seeing 8 and doing 8 presentations, right? So out of the presentations, these are going to turn into at least 4 qualified prospects. Again, you're just cutting that in half. And out of the 4 qualified prospects should produce 2 paid cases per week. And that will increase, that will grow, because your previous prospects will reconsider. The think about it. Well, they will have thought about it. And again, you're building your book of business. And by consistently adding new suspects, new prospects to your production pipeline, you will always have people to see. And you'll slowly but steadily build a solid base of clients. Again, this is very important. A solid base of clients over time will generate referrals, to new prospects, again, which will over time, will reduce the amount of hours you need prospecting, because you have a large book of business. I can really speak to this. I have clients calling me all the time for policies from my book of business. You know, and again, it's just from consistently branding myself, consistently marketing, consistently lining up my prospects, lining up people to see every day, making sure, you know, the different ways that I got in front of people, but making sure that I did exactly that. Now, some of the prospecting sources, you're like, well, how do I get in front of people? Where do I get people from? I only know 2 or 3 people. Well, you probably know more than that just in your natural market, you know, with your family members, your friends, your social acquaintances, you know, maybe former business associates you work with in the past, maybe school contacts, you know, your children's teachers, you know, any business owners that you may know, professionals and business people whose products and services that you use. You know, think of, you know, heck, I went to Lowe's not too long ago, got quite a few stuff for the backyard, and lo and behold, was talking to the guy about insurance, and you know, he ended up getting a policy and could potentially be a recruit. Now, again, would that have happened if I wouldn't have, you know, just simply offered him my services, just like I was utilizing their services? You know, again, people who your children and spouse know. You know, again, there's make those contacts. You know, bank account prospecting. What is this? Well, that's simply going through your bank account and taking note, again, of people that you've done business with. You've paid someone out of your bank account that, you know, could potentially be a prospect or a client. You know, centers of influence in your community, prospect nest or groups of people, you know, whatever it may be. You know, I know agents joining business networking groups, you know, the Chamber of Commerce, you know, being involved in the community. And, you know, again, also another prospecting source is leads. Leads. Very important. You know, a great way to get in front of clients. But most importantly, the fortune is in the follow-up. You know, follow up with all of these people. Follow up with all of your potential prospects, your potential suspects, because, again, there's so much business there. You know, we ask the question all the time, how many people need to see this? How many people need to see big circle, little circle? Well, if all of these people in your natural market haven't seen it, then you need to get to work. If people, you know, if you've done your bank account prospecting and you haven't made that attempt, then you need to get to work. Again, you know, leads. If you haven't taken advantage of the leads program, take advantage of it. You know, in qualified prospects, you know, it's important to remember that a qualified suspect is not necessarily a qualified prospect. Your qualified suspect becomes a qualified prospect when you determine that they have a need for your products and services that you offer, and they recognize it. You know, they have the money to meet that need, and they're willing to commit. They're insurable, you know, has expressed a hot button. You know, it's up to us to find that hot button, you know, would be willing to do business with you. You know, again, during your first meeting with a qualified suspect, you should be able to determine if you're dealing with a qualified prospect, you know, based on everything that you can narrow down. Now, game plan for great success. Get leads in your market. Leads are qualified prospects. We're talking about getting in front of qualified prospects, you know, and understand your market, understand your leads. And when you get your leads, work your leads. The second bullet point there is very important. Don't eat your seed. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to go out and make a sale. You're going to get paid from the insurance carrier, and you're going to have that commissions hit your bank account. Now, when that commissions hit your bank account, a lot of agents will, you know, go to town, take care of bills, right? Spend it. It's in the bank. What's it there for? To be spent. That's okay. I understand. But if you're, you know, planning and you're setting aside your marketing dollars, your seed, you need to plant to harvest, right? So again, set aside a portion of your income for marketing dollars. And when you first start off, that may be a higher percentage of your income. You know, right now, currently, I do 60, 20, 20. 60% of my income goes to my bank, 20% goes aside for taxes, the other 20% goes into marketing dollars. That's my seed money. And, you know, you may have 40% going into seed money to start off with. But don't eat your seed. When you get paid off of when you get your commissions off of the client that you just protected and covered, you know, allocate your commissions, you know, and don't eat your, very important, you need to harvest. Keep your marketing pipeline full, and your production pipeline will fill up also. Again, if you're out there marketing and you're putting yourself in front of clients and you're doing the things that you need to do, then that production is going to come. If you've planned your marketing and if you've planned ways to get in front of clients and you're out there and you're prospecting and you have your prospect plan in place and you're seeing the prospects, again, your production will happen. Your production pipeline will fill up. Again, get referrals and use the system. We talk about referrals. We talk about using the system. Everyone needs to see big circle, little circle. You know, and all the clients that you sit down with, they know people. They know people that need to have their life insurance needs, their living benefits needs, their retirement protection needs taken care of. Again, get referrals. Utilize the system. Identify your areas. This is important. Identify the areas that you want to work in. You know, I call them honey holes, and work your honey holes. You know, again, that's important. I'll rotate my marketing areas that I work in. You know, especially when I was full-time running business in the field, I'd had 3 or 4 different areas that I would consistently market to. My schedule was 3 and 4 weeks ahead of time. I mean, 3 weeks, you could ask me in 3 weeks, I could tell you where I'd be in 3 weeks because I was constantly marketing. I had my goal was to try to get 100 leads a week, and I would do that in my specific areas, and I would just rotate the areas. And as I came back to my first honey hole, I pick up the leads that I generated there before, generate some new ones, and go to work. And again, just rotate my areas on a weekly basis. And just working those honey holes, identifying those areas, again, that's very important. And remember, leads do not sell themselves. Leads, that's not a client that filled out the letter, said, hey, I got a check ready. You know, you have to go out there. You have to identify the need. You have to bring out the emotion. You have to make sure it's important to them. And you have to make sure you meet that need. And most importantly, meet the hot button, which is their budget. It has to fit in their budget. So, you know, again, remember, leads do not sell themselves. That can mean so much. Real quick, what I want to do, I'm going to bring up someone who has really developed a phenomenal presentation. And he's developed really the secret sauce to the business. And I'm going to have him come up, kind of explain this. We have the actual weekly goals and report sheet here, and none other better to give us a thorough explanation on that than Mr. Ray McDonald. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. Okay. All right, guys. Hey, real quick, just wanted to say thanks for Jason for doing that. You know, the bottom line, guys, with this business, and Jason was talking about here, you know, it's getting in front of people. You know, setting appointments, networking, getting referrals, the honey holes. I mean, we just give you a whole laundry list of ways to get in front of people. But the bottom line is we got to be in front of people, because the people that we're in front of are the ones that we, I did a training not so long ago about you know, who has your money and all that stuff like that, and it's the people that we're in front of, you know, the people that we're talking to, and so Jason is giving you a whole laundry list of people that you could be working, talking to, and everything else. But the bottom line about this business is it's production. We have to have production all the time. Because if you're not having production, if we don't have production, means money. Production translates to dollars. So if you don't have production going on in your business, that means you have no dollars going on in the business. And if you don't have any dollars coming into your business, then you're going to be out of business. So everyone here on this call, in this meeting, we all get involved in this business to generate what? Dollars, right? Generate dollars. How do we get dollars? By production. How do we get production? By doing everything that Jason talked about doing. You know, going, working every possible nook and cranny that you can. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Talk to your pastor. Go to your church. Go, you know, talk to, Jason had a great one I haven't seen in a long time. Is the one with the bank account deal. You know, who you've been paying money to. Okay, now go back and flip it and get money back from them. You know, okay. So now have them pay you money now for services that that you're offering. You know, so there's 1,000,001 ways to go out there and get business. But the bottom line is that we have to go out and get this business. And so many times people get involved in this business, and I'm just being straight up with you guys. They come in and they see everything, but they're like, oh yeah, Ray, I want to do this, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do like this. I'm going to do like that, Jason, this is what I'm going to do now. I want to so bad. And then they get out there and they don't do it, or they get out there and they kind of do it half measures, right? When I say about half measures avail us nothing. Or they go out there and say they get the leads. And this is probably one of the, top 3 things why people don't have success. They get the leads, and they order leads one time, and maybe they don't have the experience with the leads that they wanted to have. Maybe they got about 10 leads, and they thought that they're going to get 10 planned appointments. Just because you get 10 leads doesn't mean you're going to get 10 appointments. Okay, especially if you're brand new. When you get 10 leads, I mean, you might not get any appointments. Does that mean that you give up? No. The name of the game is keeping your pipeline full. When Jason opened this thing up, talk about Brian Tracy, keeping your pipeline full. Okay, so you have to get good at this. I mean, people all the time, like for example, Jason, I'm picking on Jason here, but who's staring right at me with his handsome brown eyes. But he, we call him Mr. 3000, right? Because this his goal is to hit 3,000 apps. He has like 2,700 whatever apps he has now. Okay, but do you think that? I mean, how did he get there? Because he started out as a neophyte. He started out as a person who knew nothing about insurance, who knew nothing about working leads, who knew nothing about this, but yet he went out and started getting the program and getting involved. And so now his model is the person with the most leads wins. So in the beginning, I guarantee you, he didn't have the success. He probably got 10 leads, and maybe only got 1 or 2 appointments out of that. That's fine. But you know what he did? He went and got more leads. So he says, don't waste your seed money, right? Don't eat your seed money. So he invested that money that he made into more leads. So he got more and more leads. You got more leads coming in, you're building your pipeline. So you need to build your pipeline with leads, with referrals, with networking, with friends and family, people who they know. You got to be a nonstop producing machine. Who can I talk to? Who can I see? Who has my money? Who can I get in front of? Because you're not going to get in front of anybody sitting on the couch. Now, this here is the weekly goal sheet. I know a lot of you guys on this call, and people here in the room have seen this before, but you'd be surprised on how many people are not even doing this. And guys, and this is the essence of this business. This is the, people want to know all the time, Jason, Ray, BJ, hey, what's the secret sauce, man? How do you guys do it? How do you guys do it? I'll do. Hey, just tell me what I got to do. I'll do whatever you say to do. Okay, but do this. Do this. The goal sheet. It's a simple sheet. But the thing is that people don't do it. Like I always say, it's easy to do, but also easy not to do. I promise you, and I promise you, if you do this, and you are persistent and consistently doing this, you are guaranteed to have success. Because if you're doing this and you're being honest and you're being real with yourself, this is guaranteed to move you in the right direction. It's going to force you in the right direction, and that's the right direction. It's just going to increase your production and overall income. So we all seen this, okay? But yet, again, honesty here, people are not turning this in. People are not being committed to this. You have to be committed to your success. We got into this business for a reason, right? So you're committing yourself to this business. Okay, fine, that's great. You're committing yourself to the business. Now let's commit yourself to the success in your business, and let's commit yourself to the action in this business. And this is the action steps for your business. I'm not going to get into all this by just a million times, but you all know what this is. But let me kind of go right to how should it look like. Here it is. This is how it looks like. Okay? So The first column is your weekly goal, right? What's your goal for the week? So I want 20 new contacts this week. Okay, I want to make 250 new calls. That's a great number. Imagine you're making 250 calls in a week. I mean, what kind of production are you going to get out of that? If you're getting 250 calls a week, you know, connection calls, right? These are connections. These are actually people that I actually connected with. So out of 250 calls, I'm going to connect with at least 50 follow-up calls. Okay, these are calls. These are appointments that the people that you saw already, or appointments you went on already, or whatnot. And so now, so that's follow-up calls. And again, the money's in the follow-up. And follow-up for me, guys, is critical. I follow up with clients. I follow up with them. Could be 2 times, could be 3 times, could be 5, could be 15 times. I follow up with them until I get some type of resolution. Either they bought from me or they told me a hard no. Either way, I'm going to keep following up. I keep them in my stack. I get my stack of leads and I put them on. I keep following up. I write my little note, put the date and the time I called, the message, and sometimes I have to have a whole row of dates and times and messages I left for them over and over again, you know, until I follow up that lead until I get a resolution for that lead. Number of the event invites. How many people are you going to invite this week to see the opportunity, to see the presentation? Again, we got to build our business. So you're not out there getting your production, but also you're out there trying to build your business. Okay, it's twofold. Free set appointments, 10. Number of appointments kept, 10. Okay, so now next, you got 10. Your goal is to have 10 kept appointments. That's fantastic. Number of new appointments set, 10. Number of new recruits, 5. Why? If I had 5 invites, I'm going to recruit all 5 of them. That's my goal for the week. My goal for the week is to have 4 applications, $2,400 in AP for the week. And minutes of reading is 100 minutes of reading. Okay, because again, we got to be reading the right kind of books. So look what happens here. Look at the end of the week. Let's pull up. So number one, you had 20 new contacts added. So you did 17 for the week. So you did a great job on the second column here. The number of new calls made. Your goal was 250. You got 250 on there. Out of 50 connection calls, you got 41. Out of follow-up calls, you got 140. So that's fantastic. You went beyond your goal. Your goal was to get 125. You got 140. But you see what's happening here, guys. Now imagine if you're doing this every single week. If you're doing this every single week, tracking your business, monitoring your business, measuring your business. So right now, a lot of people who are not having success in this business, who are failing in this business, is because they're not following up. They're not measuring. They don't have a system that they're going by. They're just like, okay, well, my goal is today, I'm going to go out and do this. A lot of people don't even have a goal. And they wonder why they're floundering. They wonder why they're hurting. They wonder why they're not having success. They say, oh, well, I tried that. It doesn't work for me. No, it works. Trust me. It works. This wouldn't be one of the largest industries on the planet if it didn't work. Okay? There's countless amount of people making a lot of money in this business. So the business works. But you have to work the business, and you have to be following a system. You have to be measuring your success, measuring your goals, measuring your business. This is your business. So how are you going to measure your success? What are you doing now to ensure your success? Think about that. What are you doing right now? Be honest with yourself. What are you doing at this moment to measure your success? Because I guarantee you, a lot of people right now are not doing this. They're not doing it, and people want to know the secret sauce. They want to know. How, man, Jason, how do you do it? Ray, how do you do it, man? Hard work, focus, dedication, discipline, getting up every day, doing it, writing it down, keeping track of it, measuring it, being accountable. We're all, Jason's not superhuman. I'm not superhuman. We do the same thing. There's times when I get up, I don't want to do certain things. I don't want to do it, but I get up and I do it. You know, but I see what happens when I keep on doing it, and I do it, and I do it, and I do it. I see what happens. If you do this day in and day out, week in and week out, I promise you, you will have success. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay? And so you got to be consistent with that. So anyway, plan your schedule. Okay? Plan your schedule. Your schedule will have a lot to do with the market you focus on. You got to be focused, man. I mean, if you want this, if you want to get it, then get it. Be focused on what you're doing. There are many productive activities you can do throughout the day. You know, follow up on pending business. Okay? I mean, you got to be focused. I mean, a lot of us are entrepreneurs, and a lot of people want to be an entrepreneur. So being an entrepreneur, you know what that means? That if you're not disciplined and not focused, you're gonna have a lot of freedom, right? Because you don't have to report to anybody but yourself. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs out there right now today are sitting on the couch watching TV, you know, and calling themselves entrepreneurs, okay? Because they're not focused. You gotta be focused. You gotta follow up on pending business. You gotta have meetings and learn from your peers. Be on calls like this. Being in the training room like this. You know, learning from us. Follow up with clients and agents. Setting appointments. Door knocking leads. Running appointments. The training with the SAA and you know, and the carriers that we have on the website. The self-training. You got to be reading books, man. You got to be reading books. You got to be after self-training. You got to learn. You got to be. You need to master this industry. You need to be the expert in this business. Handing out 10 cards a day, networking and prospecting, meeting and greeting, lead planning, strategizing. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I mean, so every single day you got to be filling up because, you know, you don't only have idle time in your business or your life. Because idle time is a devil's workshop, man. If you have idle time and you're just not doing anything, you're going to get bored. All right? So the trick to having success and being successful is do enough activity every single day where you're not bored. But the moment you're bored, that should be an indicator that you're not doing enough. Okay? So if you're sitting around bored or if you have time to watch TV or do something during the day, then you're not doing enough for your business. Okay? So this is a weekly planner. You know, your advantage planner. So right now, 7 a.m. You know, 7 a.m. I'm going to get up. I'm going to, you know, go work out. Okay, I'm going to go work out at 7 a.m. 8 o'clock, I'm going to read for 20 minutes, a book that I'm reading. Okay, at 9 a.m., you know, here we go. See? So work out, eat. You got 8 o'clock, you got your pending, check your pending business. That should be something you should do every single day, check your pending business. You need to be, you know, buy leads. You know, I mean, follow the carriers. Follow for clients, set appointments, self-train, have lunch. Guys, if you're doing this, you're busy. You are busy, you're focused, you're disciplined. You're not busy being busy. You're busy being focused. There's a difference. A lot of people out there are busy being busy, but they're not busy being focused. And we got to be focused in everything that we do and everything that we're about. Okay? So, look, man, we're giving you the secret sauce. If you want to have success, do the goal sheet, do this, fill your day up every day. Look, you're going to work hard for a season of your life. Let's work hard for just a season. Be focused, be dedicated, be disciplined, do whatever it takes. Turn the TV off, turn the radio off, read books, you know, be making appointments, be on follow-ups, you know. Time for productive activity and action. You wouldn't worry so much about what others think of you if you realize how seldom they do. Okay? You need to brand yourself, guys. You need to be the expert in your business. You got to be the expert in your field. You want everybody who thinks about insurance, they want to think about you. You want to brand yourself, brand your business, let people know who you are, what you do. Be proud of it, you know, what you're doing. And create the lasting influence on the lives of people. Run the system. Guys, be excited about what you're doing. I mean, everybody on this call has a chance truly to be a multi-millionaire if they really want to. Okay, but you're not going to be a multi-millionaire just by sitting on your butt doing nothing. You're not going to be a multi-millionaire, you know, in this business if you don't have an action plan, you don't have a goal, you don't have a discipline, you don't have structure, you don't have anything going on. So, I mean, So again, this is the secret sauce. And probably the most important thing you got to do is giddy up. All right. So without further ado, guys, appreciate all of you guys being on the call. Hope you liked it. And reality is, guys, we just got to get out there and do it. Be persistent, consistent, day in, day out. Do the system, follow the system, be on the calls, be the leader that you are. You know that you're the leader. Lead from the front. Focus on recruiting people, bringing them in, letting them see how you're leading, okay? And build your business, build your empire, build your bank account. With that, peace out. Good deal.